It was good. I feel like we got a lot of good work in. Especially during the bye week. You don't want to lax off, but I think we understood that we need to get better, and that's what we did. We took our weaknesses and applied them, and it was a good bye week. I enjoyed it.
You said you took some of those weaknesses for the cornerback room specifically. Just what was the focus over the last few days?
Yeah, man, just doing our job more than anything. Just doing our job. Technique. If it's small things, having our eyes in the right places, and just being aggressive more than anything. Being physical. Dominating every single play.
Did you need to say anything to Cortland after what happened against Auburn, or was he just fine?
Nah, Cortland a dog. I think he took that, to the chin better than a lot of freshmen would. He did an excellent job in that game. I feel like he, was able to prevail at the end and come back and make some key plays for us. I think he did good. You're gonna have some blows as a freshman, as a young guy, but I'm not worried about Cortland. Cortland's gonna continue to get better.
What will it be like to get Eli back out there?
Amazing. Another great player. Freshman All-American last year. To have that type of player on the field, great things are going to come his way. He's so smart, intelligent. He knows his job really well. He helps me. He helps everybody in that room. He helps the whole defense. So just having him back, it's going to be really good.
You talked about Cortland being a dog and understanding everything. Do you think he fully grasped the fact that, some of the issues he had was against one of the better wide receivers in the country?
I do, but I think he also understands that it was self-inflicted. He takes some of those things back, that he's right there making those plays, and not just him, everybody. I'm not just going to sit here and blame Cortland, because Cortland played just fine for most of the game, and he's going to continue to get better. So I think he understands that he's a good player, and when you go against great players like we did against Auburn, the small things will matter, and it will bite you if you're not detailed, and Cortland's going to be just fine.
How valuable do you think that experience is for a guy like Cortland to play a great receiver like Coleman? You guys have a lot of good receivers on the schedule later in the year. How valuable is that experience?
Amazing. Getting that type of talent, that's why you come to OU. You play in the SEC. You come to play those type of receivers. I don't think he's backed down from that challenge, and I think he came back ready every time when he was lined against Cam or number one or any of them receivers. We play some of the best receivers every single day, and Deion Burks, and, every day we're just getting better.
The bye week, for you personally, for the quarterback room, you feel like it came at a perfect time for you guys health-wise?
I think it did. For the whole defense, we're at a good point right now. We're 4-0, but I think we got to continue to get better. So we didn't get laxed. We didn't, take a couple of days off. No, you got to continue to get better. It really, if you want to be a great team, you make those big, increases during the bye week, and I think we did.
You have Eli back. You have Dolby back. Is this the deepest room you've ever run a part of?
Yeah, it's about right there with the best. We've had some great DBs, great leaders that's come through here, but having those great guys that you just named, and having, they're so flexible, they can do whatever, with their man, they're off, they're just whatever. They're so good at what they're doing. I take notes every single day just watching them play, and yeah, it does help having them back.
Against Auburn, obviously, you felt like you got upset with yourself earlier on in the game, but then you had that big play. Or two big plays. One, some people say, was pass interference. The other's in that corner. How was that for your confidence?
I think as a DB, it's funny that we talking about it right now. I was just literally talking about with KD. It's almost like a villain mentality. You're never going to be the hero any time. So you just got to keep your head down. And next play mentality. We're not on offense, so one play it can't define us. It can't define us. So we got to keep going. And I didn't let that shaky beginning define me. And I just wanted to keep playing for my team. And I feel like I was able to help at the end.
That self-scout part of a bye week, is that a lot easier for you guys with how many veterans you have to understand? You've played really, really well, but there's still so much stuff you can dial in on.
Most definitely, but it can also make you lax at the end of the day. That when you got a bunch of veterans that might think that they know it all, and that's exactly the opposite of what we have here. Everybody's dialed in, they want to get better. When you got a group like that, the sky's the limit.
Through the first 4 games now, what have been your overall impressions and takeaways of this defense?
I think that we can be as good as we want to be, if we put the work in. We see that when we play as a group and we play collectively, that we can put it all together and play dominant defense. But we also see that the little things can hurt you. If you don't do the details every single day, it's going to bite you. And it did a couple of times, but we're going to get that fixed and we're going to keep getting better.